Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to section 11.5, Dividing Polynomials. For the first two, we are asked to find each quotient. The quotient is just the end result of a division problem, so let's go ahead and rewrite this division problem. We are dividing 4x squared minus 18, and we are going to divide that by 2x. So I'm going to actually put that 2x underneath this in a fraction form. Now when we solve this, or when we find the quotient, I'm going to divide this 4 by that 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. X squared divided by x is just a single x. And then we have a minus, and now we move on to this guy where it's 18 divided by 2 is a 9, and then x divided by x is a 1. I'm not going to put that down, so our final answer is 2x minus 9. With 2, what we want to do, we want to bring what we're dividing out of those parentheses, so it's going to be 2y squared minus 3y minus 9. That's going to go over, 3y, and we do the same process. Now, it's a little bit tricky because 2 divided by 3, does 2 divide by 3 evenly? No, it does not. So I'm just going to leave it as a fraction. If it does not go in there evenly, just leave it as a fraction. Then what's y squared divided by y? That is just a y. Now we have a negative 3 divided by 3, so that's just going to be negative 1. How about y divided by y? That's also going to be 1. Now with your numbers here, negative 9 divided by 3 is going to be a negative 3, but is there a y to divide? No, there's no y to divide, so that y has to stay on the bottom, or if you look at it as negative 9 over 3y, if we would simplify this, we would cancel out that 3 with the 9, so it would be a negative 3 on top over y on the bottom, which we have here. So our simplified version is this guy right there. When we start dividing polynomials, we have to follow the same steps as we would when we would use long division to find our answer right here. So let's go ahead and write this out like we would in long division when you're back in 5th grade. So you're going to put 12 outside of the division bar, and then inside you're going to put 7, 3, 4, 4. Now how do we do this? 12 goes into 73. How many times? It goes in there 6 times. So you would take this 6 times 12 to get 72. And then you change that sign to subtraction, and you subtract, get 1. Then you bring down the 4. Then what times 12 is 14? Well, you can only go into 14 once. So you take it times once. 1 times 12 is 12. You change the sign, you subtract, and then you subtract 12 from 14 to get 2. You bring down this 4. Then what times 12 gives you 24? That's going to be 2. And so then we have 24 minus 24. That gives us 0. So we found our answer. You will have to apply those same steps to these following problems. So with 3, first thing we do, we bring this b plus 3 out. So it's going to be b plus 3. Now we are going to divide. We are going to divide what? What we have to be careful of, ladies and gentlemen, make sure these powers go in order. So it's 2, and then 1, and then no power. So is it 2, 1, and no powers? Yes, it is. So we can put that inside the division, minus 2b minus 15. Now when you do something like this, first thing we have to do is, what can we take times b to get b squared? Well, that's going to be a b. So now I take this b times there to get a b squared, and then I take this b times the 3 to get a plus 3b. And just like the previous example, what do we have to do? We have to change those signs, change them to the opposite sign. Both are going to be subtraction, and now we subtract. That is gone. This now turns into a negative 5b. What else do we have to do? Bring down that negative 15. Now we start the process all over again. What can I take times this b to get a negative 5b? We are trying to match that number. So I'm going to take it times a negative 5. So I take negative 5 times b to get a negative 5b. Negative 5 times a positive 3 is a negative 15. Now what do we do once we found our numbers? We change the signs. So now they were both subtraction. We change them both to addition. This, 0. This is 0. 0. So our final answer is b minus 5. That is the quotient when you divide these two polynomials. 4, we have the same exact steps. What do we do first? Well, let's go ahead and start our division problem. So it's going to be r plus 3. Inside the division goes 2r squared. Now what follows r squared? The r, so it's going to be plus 5r. So far it's going in powers, and then we should have no r, so it's minus 3. So now we're dividing this by that. First step is to multiply what times r to get 2r squared? Well, we need a 2, and we need an r to get that r squared. So we take this 2r times r, so it's going to be 2r squared, and then we take the 2r times the 3. Remember to take it times the second one, so it's going to be plus 6r. Now we change the signs. So if it's minus, you change it to a plus. If it's plus, you change it to a minus. Gone. We're left with a negative r minus 3. Now, next step, it's the same process. What can I take times this r to match a negative r? Well, that's going to be a negative 1. So I take this negative 1 times r to get a negative r and a negative 3. Remember, you have to change the signs. Change the sign. So it's gone. This is gone, so it's going to be 0. So we are done with our division problem, and this is our answer. Let's go back to 5th grade again, and let's go this divided by 12. Now, if you notice, this number is 1 above the last number we divided, so I'm going to go 12 outside the division bar, and here it's going to go 7, 3, 4, 5. So how many times does 12 go into 73? That's going to be 6. So 6 times 12 is 72. You change that to a subtraction. It's just like long division with polynomials. So it's 1. Bring down the 4. 12 goes into 14 only 1 time. So 1 times 12 is 12. Again, we subtract. So it's 25 now. Now 12 goes into 25 twice. So we have 24, then we subtract, and it turns into a 1. What is this 1, ladies and gentlemen? It is a remainder, right? Most of the time you would put remainder 1 in elementary. Well, now we go 6, 1, 2, and with the remainder we put this 1 over, what are we dividing by? We are dividing by 12, so we are going to put it over 12 for our answer. Now let's apply that same logic to our polynomials. First thing though, we have to set it up. We have x minus 2 outside, and then inside we have x squared plus 7x minus 15. Nothing changes. The process does not change. How can I match this x with x squared? That's just going to be a simple x. That x times x is x squared. That x times a 2x is a negative 2x. Ladies and gentlemen, what do we have to do with the signs? We have to change them. So now it's going to be minus in front plus the 2x cancels out. This should turn into a 9x. Bring the negative 15 down. Now we have to find what can we take times x to be 9. Well, that's just going to be a plus 9. So it's 9 times x to get a 9x, 9 times a negative 2 to get a negative 18. What do we have to do after we get those numbers? We have to change the signs, minus, plus. Then we add them up. The first term should almost always cancel out. Now we add up the negative 15 and the positive 18. That's going to be 3. We have no other numbers to bring down, so what is this 3? This 3 is a remainder, so it's going to be plus 3, just like you did over here, but it's just as a fraction, and it's going to go over, what are we dividing by? x plus 2, or x minus 2, so it's going to go over x minus 2. Just like what we did here. We were dividing by 12, so it went on the bottom of the fraction. Let's try the same thing with 6. X plus 5. Now, inside the division, it goes 3x squared plus 9x minus 15. What can we take times x to match the 3x squared? That's going to be a 3 and an x. So it's 3x times the x to get 3x squared. 3x times 5 to get a plus 15x. Now we change the sign. Subtraction, subtraction. First one's gone. This turns into a negative 6x. Bring down the negative 15. So now we have to match this x with the negative 6. So that's going to be a negative 6. Negative 6 times x is a negative 6x. Then a negative 30. Now we can switch the signs. Switch here, gone. This turns into 15. So it's going to be plus 15 over, what are we dividing by? X plus 5 for our solution. Let's try a couple more here, ladies and gentlemen. Again, same thing, same thing. R minus 1 outside, but now when we put this guy inside the division, we go 2r cubed, right? Then plus 2r squared, but what are we missing? We are missing a plus 0r term. There is no r term, so we have to add that r term, and then minus 4. Now it's the same exact thing. What can I take times the r to get 2r squared? Well, that's going to be 2r squared. I'm sorry, that's an r cubed, so we take this times there to get a 2r cubed, and times a negative 1 to get a negative 2r squared. What do we have to do? We change these signs. Gone. This turns into a 4r squared. We bring down, this is why it's so important to bring down that 0r, because it holds a place. We are matching this 4 with an r, so it's going to be a plus 4, and we also have to match the r squared, so we need another r. So we take it times r to get 4r squared. Please do not forget to take it times 1, so it's going to be a minus 4r. We then have to change the signs. Gone. Left with a 4r. Bring down the negative 4. How do we match it up? I have to take that guy times a positive 4. So 4 times r is 4r, and a minus 4r. Last thing I have to do, change the signs. You add up. Gone and gone. So we're left with a 0. So now is there a remainder? No, there is no remainder. So this is our final answer. One more, ladies and gentlemen. Hang in there. You're doing great. X minus 5 outside. What goes inside? We have an x cubed. Now we should have an x squared. Is there an x squared term? No, there is not. So let's put that in there. So it's plus 0x squared. And then what's left? Minus 34x plus 45. Now, let's go ahead, do our steps. We have an x squared times here and there to get a x squared and a minus 5x squared. Change the sign, minus, plus, gone. We have 5x squared. Bring down the negative 34x. Now we have a plus 5x. 5x times x is 5x squared, and then it's a minus 25x. Change the sign, minus, plus. Here we get a negative 9x. Bring down the 45, plus 45. How do we match that x? With a negative 9, so it's going to be a negative 9. Negative 9 times x is a negative 9x, and a plus 45. What do we have to do here? Again, we change these signs. Please remember to change the signs. So it's gone, gone, 0. Again, do we have a remainder? We do not, ladies and gentlemen. So we have our answer right there. Please, please, please make sure that we are following the steps. Follow the steps and you will be fine. And that does it for section 11.5, dividing polynomials. Good day.